One other thing both of your health insurance proposals have in common is they would cost billions of dollars in new spending. And both of you have proposed raising taxes on a lot of Americans to pay for that and for other proposals. Well, now you know what's going to happen this fall in the general election campaign. The Republicans are going to call you tax and spend liberal Democrats. And that's a charge that's been effective in the past. How are you going to counter that charge?
Well, first of all, I don't think the Republicans are going to be in a real strong position to argue fiscal responsibility when they've added $4 or $5 trillion worth of national debt. I am happy to have that argument. If John McCain, for example, is the nominee, I respect that John McCain, in the first 2 rounds of Bush tax cuts, said it is irresponsible that we have never before cut taxes at the same time as we were going into war. And somewhere along the line, the Straight Talk Express lost some wheels, and now he is in favor of extending Bush tax cuts that went to some of the wealthiest Americans who don't need them, and we're not even asking for them. So I've already said a sizable portion of my health care plan will be paid for because we emphasize savings. We invest in prevention. So that, as I said before, the chronically ill that account for 20%, or the 20% of chronically ill patients that account for 80% of the costs, that they're getting better treatment. We are actually paying for a dietitian for people to lose weight as opposed to paying for the $30,000 foot amputation. That will save us money. We can conservatively save $100 to $150 billion a year under my plan. That pays for part of it. Part of it is paid for by rolling back the Bush tax cuts on the top 1%. Now, so my plan is paid for. But one thing that I think we're going to have to do as Democrats when we go after the Republicans is, the question is not tax cuts, tax hikes. The question is, who are the tax cuts for? Who are the tax hikes imposed upon? What we have had right now is a situation where we cut taxes for people who don't need them. Warren Buffett has said, I made $46 million last year. It was a bad year for me, but I can still afford to pay more than my secretary, who has a higher tax rate than I do. That is not fair, and I want to change that. We've got $1 trillion worth of corporate tax loopholes and tax havens, and I've said I will close those, and I will give tax cuts to people making $75,000 a year or less by offsetting their payroll tax. Senior citizens making less than $50,000 a year, we want to eliminate taxes for them. So the question is, can we restore a sense of balance to our economy and make sure that those of us who are blessed and fortunate and have thrived in this economy, in this global economy, that we can afford to pay a little bit more so that that child in East Los Angeles who is in a crumbling school with teachers that are having to dig into their own pockets for school supplies, that they are having a chance at the American dream as well. I'm happy to have that argument.